Russian President Vladimir Putin, for the first time ever, admitted that Russian economy is struggling, not doing too well. He also admitted that the international sanctions are working. No shit, Sherlock. For 2.5 years, it had been like this. Russian economy is getting up from its knees. Russian economy is getting stronger thanks to all the international sanctions. They're not influencing us in any ways. Russian economy is great and it has bright future and crap like that. And today, oh, the economy is struggling, the inflation is high, and that all is due to the sanctions. It's a checkmate. Howdy, howdy everyone, my name is Konstantin. Welcome to Inside Russia, where usual Russia is explained by the unusual Russian. As usual, you will not find any propaganda, BS or lies here, only truth, common sense and logic. And some emotions, because I'm a human being after all. There will be quite a few emotions. So you understand where we are in Russia right now. I suggest, imagine we are on the Titanic. It hit the iceberg about 40 minutes ago, and the water's been filling up the compartments deep inside below for about 40 minutes. On the top decks, and it's still live music, the orchestra playing, the fine dining, the chefs are cooking meals for first-class passengers. The electricity is on, all is well, all is lovely. People are happy and smiling. Everyone is having a good time. But all of a sudden, something changes. The captain comes out and, the first-class saloon is waiting his speech, and he says, "We hit the iceberg. We are sinking." And the first-class crowd yells, "Hey, wait a second. You told us mere 40 minutes ago that we were fine, everything is all right. It wasn't a big deal, the iceberg." And the captain looks at them and goes, "I lied to you. Live with it." And he goes around minding, doing his business, preparing. And the Titanic starts sinking. It starts tilting. And the tilt is visible. And all of a sudden, lower decks are completely filled with water, and people on the upper decks, they start hearing the screams of horror coming from below, from the bottom decks. The electricity starts flickering. There is still electricity, but it's flickering. It's about to go out. And this is where we are in Russia right now. No more business than usual. And that is official. It's coming from the president, Vladimir Putin himself. No more for me to make videos anymore and yell to everyone. Russian economy is going down, crashing, it's an economic tsunami, there's a perfect storm around Russian economy, etc. I don't have to do that any longer, because Vladimir Putin is taking the lead. This is huge. This is huge. Before I start talking about the announcement and how it changes everything, and why it changes everything, and why this announcement is made right now, two things first. If you want to hear about my health update, I'm still having this thing called Bell's palsy. I'm still medicated. I'm going to talk about it at the end of the stream. And second, please like this video now in advance. You can unlike it if you want further, if you don't like it, but please do me a favor. It's taking a lot of efforts for me now. I'm medicated, so please do me a favor, like this video. Thank you. Vladimir Putin just spoke of the struggling Russian economy and the negative impact of the international sanctions. And that was for the first time. He said, I quote, "The difficulties and the imbalances are persistent in the economy. They are primarily caused by the difficult conditions in which we are building up our agricultural, industrial and financial potential of the country. These are both external sanctions and our own structural constraints, including shortage of personnel and technology and logistics." I unquote. Well, that's a strange phrase in a way. I was really surprised to hear him say we're building up our industrial, agricultural, and financial strength. What in the world are you talking about? This statement Vladimir Putin made during a meeting with the federal ministers, and it was televised. That was the most shocking statement among all the shocking statements Putin have made. In the previous, it was consistently telling Russian people that Russia was under his wise guidance, becoming a very strong economy, that all the international sanctions placed upon Russia because of his decision to attack Ukraine were not going to, not only not going to harm Russian economy, but the opposite. They were going to strengthen Russian economy, make it sovereign, make it less dependent on other countries. For over 2.5 years, he was telling us how everything was great. To give you just a few examples, I mean, I'm very glad that nothing disappears from the internet. Once you say and they quote you, it's there forever. And I'm writing everything down, everything that Putin said. Anyway, just a few things. March 11th, 2022, right after Russia invaded Ukraine, right after he made the order, gave the order for Russian troops, Russian armed forces to invade and kill in Ukraine and start killing Ukrainians, okay? Putin said sanctions will be only good for Russia. February 21st, 2023, last year, in his address to the Federal Assembly, Vladimir Putin was bragging for almost 2 hours of how Russian economy had successfully circumvented the sanctions and was growing at the record numbers. September 21st, 2023, Putin stated that the Western sanctions were only stimulating the Russian economy. This May and all over summer, he bragged that the economy, regardless of anything, grew 4.6% in just 5 months. And from September of 2023 through March of 2024, 6 months prior to the presidential election, was the process, what I'm calling the grand sugarcoating. For 180 days, Russian propaganda was feeding Russian people the greatness of everything Russia, including the economy. And now Putin comes out and says, oh, the economy is struggling and the sanctions are working. In other words, he said, forget about everything I've said before. I lied to you. But wait a second. Was it necessarily lies? Perhaps Putin was misinformed. Perhaps he didn't know. Perhaps he was making honest mistakes every time he spoke. Oh no. No. Vladimir Putin knew. He has an entire legion of economists at his disposal. Anyone with very basic understanding, primitive understanding of how economy works, any freshman economics student would tell you that Russian economy was going to hell. And there are 1,278 highly paid top economists, economic scientists employed by the Ministry of Finance of Russian Federation. On top of that, another 45,230 highly paid top economists, economic scientists employed by Russia's central bank. Don't tell me that none of them knew that Russian economy was in trouble, demising, landsliding, the tsunami. And don't tell me none of them knew that the international sanctions actually do work and that they're working. No, you can tell me anything else, but don't tell me that, okay? All those economists knew. And I'm very positive that they were informing Putin right. It's Putin who wasn't informing Russian people. You know, folks, I also wonder how the New York Times, the Washington Post, the Wall Street Journal, the Economist, the International Monetary Fund, the World Bank, and the likes, who were mindlessly repeating after Putin that Russian economy was doing great, it was showing miraculous growth according to them. I wonder how they are going to turn around and what they're going to say now. I'd love to see that. I am so disappointed in the Western economic media and the international organizations. Inadequate, impotent unprofessionals. They are nothing but the agents of Putin and Russian propaganda. They gotta be held responsible for what they've been saying about Russian economy, misinforming people for 2.5 years. I'd love to see that. Now, back to Russian economy. It has one huge problem. It's the war it's waging on Ukraine. All the problems are the derivatives from the war. People disappearing from the task force. They're killed in the front lines and they're fleeing Russia. Russia has lost its bread-making exports, natural gas and oil. Russia cannot import any longer. There's no production of anything except for the military products whatsoever. The expenditures for the military-industrial complex are skyrocketing, well, have skyrocketed. You name it. Skyrocketing inflation, other problems. The root of all the problems is the war in Ukraine. And there is no way to solve these problems, these economic problems Russia is facing, except for to stop the criminal war and pull all the troops out and make amends with Ukrainians, make peace, come to terms, pay reparations, and start rebuilding country. That's the only way. You can't fix the economy other than that. Again, any economist, even economics freshman, understands that. Whew. So Putin has spoken. He has proven me right. Everything I've analyzed and said hundreds of times in the last 30 months, he's proven me right. But why now? Why not continue feeding Russian people crap? You know what? They seem to be buying that gloriously. Why doesn't Putin continue his blah blah blah? Well, plain and simple. He can't any longer. The elevators in Russia keep falling. The planes keep hard landing. The power plants keep breaking. The turbines keep stopping spinning. The interest rate keeps getting higher. The country's savings account, the Fund for National Foundation, is drying up. The oil exports keep falling. The natural gas keep being unsold and unbought by others. The military sign-up bonuses keep rising. And you continue this count forever, I think. Russia earns so much less money and spends so much more money now. Russia has run out of money, plain and simple, and Putin knows that. He simply cannot sugarcoat that any longer. So he comes out and admits that he lied before and there are problems. And the main reason he does that now, he starts to point fingers. Not his fault. Somebody else's. He didn't know. It's the fault of the head of the central bank, perhaps, or the minister of finance, perhaps, or the minister of defense, or the head of the KGB, or all of them together. My God, a criminal group operating right in front of the noses of Russian people and Putin's nose as well, and he didn't know. They've been destroying Russian economy for 2.5 years. He didn't know. Now, such a poor state. The enemies, they've been working hard to destroy Russia. And of course, they got to be punished. Responsible ones, not me, them. It has begun. So Putin says that things are not well, and the international sanctions actually do work. Let's keep watching. It's going to be very cold, very long, and life-changing winter for Russia. And now, for the ones of you who are interested, my personal update. I am getting better. My face has recovered 95%. As you see, my left side of the face is moving. I'm still medicated though. 4 more days to go, and I should be off meds. I should be going back to normal schedule. Thank you so much, everyone who's been supporting, who's been sending love, who's been praying. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I will see you soon.